Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Lesson 4 of Methodist Christianity 101. We're glad that you're with us again. You're sticking through us. And today we're going to talk about the exciting title of Giving and Financial Generosity. Now, before you turn this thing off entirely, before you say, I'm not listening to this one and skipping ahead to the next one, and before you turn off this podcast, stay with me. I promise you, it's a lot more interesting than just saying, we want your money and you should give. There's a lot more when it comes to theology of money and how we see the world than just we want your money. The way in which we see how God has given us everything shapes how we deal with our money. So we're going to go through a few things about how we see the world shapes how we deal with our money. We're going to talk about the theology of money. There's what is the difference between tithes and offerings. We're going to watch or listen to a really cool video from Rob Bell, and this is a really good topic to talk about. So stick with me for a little bit, and this is lesson 4. So one of the questions I want you to ponder, wherever you find yourself, whether you're watching this at home or whether you're out driving and you're listening to the podcast, the question I want you to ponder is, what comes to mind when you think about giving? What comes to mind when you think about giving? And not just giving of your time, but giving specifically of your finances. What comes to mind? What do you give to? Why do you give? And I want you to write it down in your notebook or just think about it. Ponder, what comes to mind when you think about giving? I'm going to give you a few minutes. Just think about it. All right. I know for me, oftentimes when I've always thought about giving and giving to the church, I've always thought about it in this shame-based, the plates go by and you put money in the plates, and if you don't, the person next to you makes fun of you, or you feel bad that God's going to judge you, or a lightning bolt is going to come and hit you. And that's been my whole understanding about giving, is that it's shame-based, guilt-based, that there's something in there that if you don't do it, something bad is going to happen to you. Yet what I think giving really is about the opportunity to express thankfulness of what God has given to you and to me. So a few biblical principles about how we approach giving. The first thing is that God created everything. That is the beginning of my theology. That's the beginning of how I start everything. And when we look back in the Bible, we look at Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. God created everything, the stars, the moon, the planet, the clothes that you're wearing, everything that we have. All of it is a gift, and God created all of it. And the second piece of that is that God owns everything. The stuff that you and I think that we work really hard for, the brain power that we use to get that paycheck which bought that new iPhone, it's not really ours. God is the one that gave us that brain power. And God is the creator of that iPhone, and God is the creator of that plastic in which you swipe to get your credit card or inserted the chip in. That is something that God owns, and God owns everything that we have. We're supposed to be good trustees of what God has given to us, because everything belongs to God. God created everything. It all belongs to God, and God has just given it to us, and we're supposed to be good trustees of what God has given to us. So if we change the way we understand our possessions, our material belongings, our money, the things that we own, if we change that we say we own those things to being we are trustees of those things, we are supposed to be good stewards of those things, it really changes how we view money. We kind of release our hands, our hold, our grip on those things, because we realize that ultimately they're not ours. They are God's. And that is the framework or the foundation for how I see money, because the money that I have is not mine. It is solely something that God has given to me and entrusted me to have. Now, one question that we get all the time is, what's the difference between tithes and offerings? Well, tithes is the first 10% of one's earning that was given to God. It goes back from the early times in the Old Testament, that you give back 10% of what you have, your livestock, to the temple to show appreciation for what God has given to you. Now, sometimes we say, well, that 10% is a tithe. So what happens if we give more than that? We call that an offering. So if you feel led, that Spirit says, hey, you should give more to that, or you feel led to give to this particular thing, Anything over that 10% is considered an offering. It's an offering to God. Now, there's a lot of other questions that have been received about tithes of, does it happen pre-tax? Does it happen post-tax? Does it happen? And it's very easy to get stuck in kind of the litigation of, what do I give here? What do I give there? And sometimes it causes us to miss out on the mark. And we're going to talk about it in just a second. But if you have questions about kind of tithing, there's a spot in your book that you should have received in the mail, and page 69 and 70 about frequently asked questions of tithing. If you haven't gotten that workbook, please reach out to me, reach out to Andrew, who we met in the first session, and we can make sure we get you that book, because we really are tracking with that book, and it's a really, really, really good part to read through. So page 69 and 70 is a really good frequently asked questions about the book, because we don't really have that much time to talk about that here. Now, one of the questions I want to talk about is, why do we give? What is the purpose to give? Is it about, why would I give money to a church or to an organization? The first thing I think is, we give because everything we have is a gift from God. Everything we have. I mean, stop and think about it. The clothes that you're wearing are a gift from God. The family that might be sitting to your left or to your right, or the family that might be at home, that's a gift from God. The very air that you're breathing right now is a gift from God. The computer and the phone that's in front of you is a gift from God. All of that is a gift from God. And in response to those gifts, we give back a portion of what God has given to us. The second piece of that is, we give because we know the transformative power that money can provide. I mean, think about a time for you when you've given, whether it be to a church or a local organization, or to the Salvation Army, to the Red Cross, to a college ministry, or to Charity Water, whatever organization you have given to. Why did you give to that organization? What about it spurred something within you? I think John Wesley would call that, it's a strange warming of the heart. That there's something about it that just caused you to change because you saw it change somebody else's life. And I think we give out of response to what God has done for us, but we also give because we know it's changed us. It's changed somebody else. We know that it's changed somebody's life for the better. So when you give to support that food pantry, you know that food is going to somebody who is food insecure. Or when you give to that college ministry, you know that you're supporting a college student that wouldn't be able to support them for him or herself. That's one of the other reasons we give, because it makes a difference. And when you give to Mandarin and Longleaf, you know that you're impacting students from Crown Point Elementary School. You know that you're helping supporting the Assist program. You know that you're helping support the Florida United Methodist Children's Home. You know that you're supporting local people who are just looking for a place to eat and finding a bus pass. You're helping people find shoes. You're giving to all of these things because they're making an actual difference in a human being's life. And you want to do that. There's something inside of you that when you hear a good story, a transformative story, you want to be a part of that. And that's another reason why we give. And I think the third piece is that giving is a spiritual discipline. This is not something that happens overnight. You might have been said, well, I don't give anything. And that's okay. That's where you're at on your journey. But giving is a spiritual discipline just in the same way that prayer and reading the Bible and going and serving in mission and connecting in community and small groups, and all of that it's a spiritual discipline. So when we give, it takes time. You might start with $20 here, $40 here, $2 here. It might be just the beginning process of giving, but it happens over time, and it's a spiritual discipline that you work at. So what I want to do for you is, there's a video that is really, really powerful, one of my favorite videos of all time. It's from a guy by the name of Rob Bell, and he talks a lot about kind of what it means to give and what it means to be rich. So we're going to watch this video. You're going to watch this video with me, and I want you, as you're watching this, to think about what sticks out to you. What's those one or two things that sticks out to you in this video? And you can find this on YouTube as well, so if you want to watch it again, just search Rob Bell Rich, and it's just a fantastic video, and let's watch that video together.
keep seeing this bumper sticker that's popular where I live. It says, "God bless America." Every time I see one, I think, God has. God has blessed America. America's around 6% of the world's population, and we consume over 40% of its resources. The point isn't, how can God bless America more? The point is, how can America bless others? In the Bible, when God blesses somebody, when God gives to them, it's so that they'll bless and give to others. There's this verse in the Bible, in a letter called 1 Timothy, and it says, "Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant or to put their hope in wealth." Now, I always assumed this verse was for somebody else. I mean, specifically somebody rich, but I have a car. 8% of the people in the world have a car. 92% of people in the world would see you and I driving in our cars. And I don't care what kind of car you have. 92% of the people in the world would see us driving in our cars and they'd think, rich. Do you have access to clean drinking water? Because somewhere around 1 billion people in the world don't even have clean water. And so you and I, we go to the sink, we take out a glass, we get something to drink. But hundreds of millions of people in the world would watch us doing that. And they'd probably say to themselves, man, it must be nice. Have you eaten today? Because somewhere around 800 million people won't eat today. 300 million of them are kids. Every couple seconds, somebody dies from hunger. How much change do you have on you? Your wallet or your purse. How much money do you have on you right now? Around 1 billion people in the world live on less than $1 a day. Experts say that in order to provide water, basic health, and nutrition for everyone in the world, the estimates that it would cost somewhere around $20 billion, which is how much Americans spend in 1 year on ice cream. We are so rich. But maybe you have this sense, you look around and you have this sense you don't have that much because you see people who have even more. But it's a dangerous thing when we start to think that our world is the world. I mean, we're bombarded with all these images of the newest models and the latest styles, and after a while, our stuff, it starts to seem kind of average or outdated or not good enough. But for the rest of the world, our life is the commercial. Our stuff is the catalog. We're the picture in the advertisement. What isn't good enough for us, for the rest of the world, would be more than enough. So the verse in 1 Timothy, it says, "Command those who are rich not to put their hope in wealth." And then it goes on, it continues, and it says, "But to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment." That phrase, the God who richly provides us with everything. All that we have is a gift. Food, it's a gift. Clothes, gift. Roof, gift. That breath that you just took, it's a gift. Now there are some who say, no, you don't understand. I've worked for what I have. I deserve it. It's mine. But it says in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 8, it says, "You may say to yourself, my power and the strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. But remember the Lord your God, because it's God who gives you the ability to produce wealth." So there's nothing wrong with wealth and possessions in themselves. I mean, God never condemns people simply for having things. I mean, they're gifts from God. It's just that God made us for so much more than just enjoying our stuff. God gives for a reason. And so the command begins to those who are rich. And it says, don't put your hope in wealth, put your hope in God. Then it continues and it says, command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. Now, when the writer uses the phrase good deeds, he's referring to this ancient Hebrew concept called the mitzvot. The word mitzvot is actually in Hebrew language, it's the word commands. So the ancient rabbis taught that when we do the commands of God, when we do good deeds, we're helping to repair and restore the world. So the first Christians, they picked up on this, like in a letter called Ephesians. One of them wrote that we're saved by the grace of God through faith in Christ in order to do mitzvot, in order to do good deeds. We're saved to do good works. And so we're commanded to do mitzvot and to be generous and willing to share. And then the verse wraps up this way. It says, in this way, and this way is the rich, that's us, becoming generous and willing to share. It says, in this way, they lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age. And in doing this, they take hold of the life that is truly life. Now, when some hear the phrase laying up treasures, they start to think of like money and wealth and mansions, but Jesus never even used the word mansion. I mean, nowhere in his teaching is it about, or is the point, getting more stuff. It's not the goal here on earth, and it's not the goal someday in heaven. For Jesus, it's about being content. It's about taking hold of the life that is truly life. It's about realizing that the kinds of people we're becoming matters. It has eternal implications. It's about our future. It's about our forever. Now, if you're like me at this point, you're kind of looking for the pitch, Okay, just tell me where I'm supposed to give money or who I'm supposed to give money to, and then I'll give the money and then I'll be off the hook. But this is about something much, much bigger than just giving to the latest cause. This isn't some transaction, where we write a check or we put some cash in an envelope and then we're off the hook. This is about how we view the world and how we view our stuff. This is about what you and I truly believe about what we have. I mean, do I really believe that everything I have is a gift, and that I have this divine responsibility to give, to share, to spread it around? Do I really believe that the way we're commanded to live is the best possible way to live? Let's be honest. It's easy to go to a church service, and it's easy to read the Bible, and it's easy to discuss who believes what and who's right and who's wrong. It's easy. But when Jesus talks about his followers, he talks about people who are generous, people who clothe the naked and take food to the hungry, take water to the thirsty, and people who visit the prisoner, and people who invite the stranger in, people who give their time, people who give their energy, people who give their money. Jesus said the way is narrow. He even said it's difficult for the rich to enter the way of God. Putting others first, that isn't so easy. Jesus said he came to serve, and serving takes sacrifice. It costs. It's hard to ask difficult questions about how we spend our money and what we spend our money on. I mean, you and I are told every day in 1,000 ways that we need bigger, better, and more, and that what we have, it isn't good enough. We're told buy this, consume that, get this, and then we'll be happy. Do you sometimes feel like you're on a treadmill and you're working harder and harder and harder and more and spending more, and you're more and more stressed and less content? The best question isn't, what can I get? To take the way of Jesus seriously is to realize that the best question is, what can I give? Because all of us can give something here, now, today, and then tomorrow, and then the next day. What can you do to be more generous? What is the next step for you? You have been blessed. What can you give? Who are you going to bless? So may you come to see that you're rich and that your possessions, they're luxuries that most of the people in the world don't have. And may you do what Jesus says. May you step in to your divine responsibility to give. And when you do, may you take hold of the life that is truly life.
Gosh, that video gets me every time. The video gets me every time. The ice cream fact about how we can stop world hunger, oh gosh, it hits me right in the heart because we are so rich. We are so rich. Now, we teach a class here at Mandarin and Longleaf from Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace University, and he kind of gives a plan, a practical understanding of how we spend our money. Now, if you want to take that class, again, reach out to Andrea, reach out to me. We can help you find a digital course of this class, but it really helps you get your finances in order so that you can give from the deepness of your heart. Because sometimes we do get stuck in credit card debt. Sometimes we get stuck in making unwise choices with our finances. But this course helps you get on the right course for finances. So Dave Ramsey would say, this is how you live in the world. You would say 10% of your money would go to tithe, would go to the church. 15% of it you would save, excluding your mortgage, but you would save as much as you can for retirement, and then you would live off of 75% of the rest. And it's just a basic understanding of how you spend your money. So I share that with you because I think it's really, really good and really, really important. So that's all the stuff that I have for us in this class, but I want to end like I normally have about takeaways. So wherever you're at, I want you to just find a second. And what is one thing either from our time together, from the video, something that you were thinking of throughout this time? What's one thing that you've learned, you relearned, something that stuck out to you? And I want you to either write it down, you can put it in your notes on your iPhone, or you can just think about it. And what's that one thing that you can take away from this session today? All right. We're going to invite you to watch or listen to the next episode, Lesson 5, where we talk about spiritual gifts. And this is another really, really good one. And before you do that, I'm going to invite you, you'll see in the comments below, or you should have received an email through Andrea if you're following along with her, a link to fill out your spiritual gifts inventory. We're going to take a spiritual gifts inventory together, and you'll learn kind of what your spiritual gifts are. And it's really, really helpful when we're going through the next section. So we're going to invite you to do that and watch Lesson 5. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.